Imagine a city the size of Manhattan, untouched for millennia, waiting in the perilous void of a distant galaxy. Now imagine the team that finds it, the brave, the brilliant, and the utterly human explorers of the Atlantis Expedition. This was the gripping premise of Stargate Atlantis, SGA, a spin-off that didn't just ride the coattails of its predecessor, Stargate SG-1, it forged its own epic destiny. From its debut, the show was a weekly appointment for millions of sci-fi devotees, drawing critical praise for its bold narratives, spectacular visual effects, and a cast whose chemistry was palpable. Fans built a vibrant, loyal community, obsessing over Wraith technology and debating Colonel Sheppard's rogue tendencies. Against this backdrop of apparent success, solid ratings, a passionate fanbase, and a story with endless possibilities, the network announcement in 2008 that Season 5 would be its last landed like a sudden, devastating meteor strike. The question echoed across the internet: why? How could a show with such energy, performance, and narrative momentum be abruptly pulled? The answer lies not in a single flaw, but in the perfect storm of global economic turmoil, shifting corporate priorities, and the disruptive ebb and flow of a long-running franchise. Let's delve into the three interconnected pillars that ultimately led to the premature demise of the beloved expedition. 1. The financial fallout, rising costs and a shifting economic landscape. The most cold, hard truth of television production is that even the greatest art must bow to economics. The core reason for the cancellation, as laid out plainly by executive producer Joseph Malozzi in an August 21, 2008 blog post, was the escalating cost of production. While the show maintained healthy viewing figures, the financial arithmetic simply ceased to balance. Sci-fi of this scale is inherently expensive. For context, reports indicated that Stargate SG-1 cost approximately $2.2 million per episode, and the later spin-off Stargate Universe hovered around the $2 million mark. Atlantis undoubtedly operated within this high-budget sphere, a necessity for its constant demands for alien worlds, large-scale action sequences, and complex special effects. This price tag became prohibitive precisely when the world was gripped by the Great Recession. As the global economy contracted, studios and networks became risk-averse, viewing costly productions as the easiest targets for necessary budget cuts. A reliable but expensive show suddenly became a liability in a climate of financial uncertainty. Adding an unexpected layer of financial strain was the Canadian dollar factor. Like its franchise sibling, Stargate Atlantis was filmed in Canada to take advantage of favorable exchange rates and tax incentives. However, as Malozzi noted, the stability of the US dollar began to erode. When the show began, the Canadian dollar was valued at about 0.79 USD. By 2008, it had surged to 0.94 USD. For a production whose budget was set in US dollars, but whose expenditures, salaries, services, local taxes were in Canadian dollars, this shift had a devastating effect. Without an equivalent increase in the fixed budget, the production's real purchasing power in Canada dramatically diminished, creating a silent, invisible cost increase that the network was unwilling or unable to absorb. Finally, the ultimate corporate anchor in the franchise, MGM, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, was itself sinking. MGM owned the Stargate franchise and bore a significant portion of the financial burden for its shows. By 2010, the studio's long-standing financial struggles culminated in a massive bankruptcy filing, ultimately leading to a restructuring and, much later, an acquisition by Amazon in 2022. During the period leading up to 2008, however, this financial instability trickled down, creating an unpredictable and high-pressure environment where costly, non-guaranteed assets like Stargate Atlantis were easily jettisoned to steady the corporate ship. 2. Strategic shifts, network rebranding, and operational disruption. Beyond the direct costs, the cancellation was a casualty of a larger institutional metamorphosis taking place at the show's broadcaster. In 2009, the Syfy channel underwent a controversial and profound transformation, rebranding itself as Syfy. This change was more than cosmetic. It signaled a deliberate shift in programming focus. The old Syfy channel was the home of classic, expansive space opera, Stargate, Battlestar Galactica, and similar large-scope science fiction. The new Syfy, however, aimed to broaden its appeal beyond the traditional sci-fi audience, pivoting toward fantasy, horror, and paranormal content, shows like Merlin and Being Human. While true science fiction remained on the schedule, the expensive, serialized space adventures were no longer the network's flagship priority. They required massive investment and were arguably niche. The network executives were looking to weigh the cost of Atlantis against the potential of new, more adaptable, and potentially cheaper programming that could attract a wider demographic. Faced with the economic recession, the risk of investing in a new high-cost season of Atlantis proved too great when weighed against funding new shows that aligned with the emerging brand identity. This strategic change coincided with the disruption of critical operational synergies that had long kept the Stargate production machine running smoothly. For years, Stargate Atlantis and Stargate SG-1 operated as a symbiotic unit at the Bridge Studios in British Columbia. They effectively shared crews, sound stages, and backlots, allowing for a split in fixed overhead costs. This partnership was a crucial budgetary factor, freeing up significant funds that could be channeled into the on-screen quality that fans loved. The moment Stargate SG-1 wrapped after 10 seasons in 2007, that synergy evaporated. The departure of SG-1 meant that the full, undiluted overhead, the entire cost of the sound stages, all administrative staff, and the basic crew infrastructure, now rested squarely on the shoulders of Atlantis. Malozzi confirmed that this loss of shared resources immediately drove costs up, putting the show in an untenable financial position just as the recession was starting to bite. While the later launch of Stargate Universe in 2009 would once again utilize those studios, the timing was unfortunate for Atlantis, which had to carry the full financial burden during its most vulnerable year. 3. The unfulfilled promise and legacy. The final nail in the coffin was arguably the presence of a planned successor, the Stargate Universe factor. The cancellation of Atlantis in 2008 and the launch of Stargate Universe SGU in 2009 led many fans to believe that SGU was the direct cause, a saboteur that stole resources. While this is an oversimplification, insider comments suggest a planned transition. Syfy Digital's senior VP, Craig Engler, noted that the decision to end Atlantis was made with the knowledge that SGU was in development. The cancellation was thus a conscious corporate decision to manage the franchise's future by closing one chapter to open another, rather than bearing the cost of 3 ongoing series. While not the singular killer, SGU offered the network a cleaner, cheaper narrative path forward, easing the sting of the Atlantis loss for corporate stakeholders. In a last poignant effort to placate the fanbase and preserve the narrative, MGM and Syfy announced a Hail Mary for Atlantis, a direct-to-DVD movie titled Stargate Extinction. This mirrored the successful wrap-up films for SG-1 and offered creators the bigger canvas they craved. Creators Robert C. Cooper and Brad Wright were enthusiastic, and the film was planned to shoot swiftly while the crew was still assembled. Tragically, this final hope was dashed by the rapid collapse of the DVD market. As streaming services began to revolutionize media consumption, the guaranteed revenue model for direct-to-video films evaporated, and by 2009, MGM shelved the project, a victim of a quickly changing media landscape. The dedication of the creative team, however, speaks volumes about the show's potential. Malozzi revealed in 2024 that a complete 20-episode vision for Season 6 existed, including dramatic arcs, time travel, and a major conflict with a future version of Todd the Wraith. This detailed map of the future confirms that the show was cancelled not due to creative burnout or narrative exhaustion, but purely due to business decisions. The passion extended to the cast. In a true act of devotion, star Joe Flanagan, Colonel Sheppard, attempted to save the show by rallying investors to buy the Stargate franchise from the unstable MGM. Though ultimately unsuccessful, MGM only offered a 10-year lease. This bold, real-life Sheppard maneuver underscores the belief everyone involved had in the show's continuing viability. The lingering legacy of Atlantis and a call to action. Stargate Atlantis was not cancelled because of poor performance. It was cancelled due to a perfect storm of financial pressure. It was a casualty of the 2008 financial crisis, the rising cost of filming in Canada, the instability of MGM, the loss of shared resources with SG-1, and the strategic reorientation of Syfy. Its ratings were strong to the end, with the Season 5 finale drawing over 2 million viewers. The numbers were there, but the money and the corporate will were not. Yet its premature end has only solidified its legacy. Stargate Atlantis set a benchmark for smart, fun, and emotionally resonant science fiction. Its blend of high-stakes action, wry humor, and the constant philosophical exploration of humanity's place in the cosmos cemented its place in the genre's pantheon. The dream of Season 6 and Extinction remains a powerful what-if that keeps the community alive. The gate is currently closed, but the fight to keep the dream alive is not over. The ultimate measure of a show's success is not its network run, but its endurance in the hearts of its viewers. To honor the legacy of Stargate Atlantis and perhaps unlock a future revival, here is your mission. Dive into the Pegasus Galaxy right now. Stream the entire series, revisit your favorite episodes, and introduce the show to someone new. Then, in the comments below, tell us your favorite Atlantis moment and the one question you desperately want answered in a continuation. Fan passion is the universe's most powerful fuel, and with a unified voice, perhaps one day the next explorer will step through the event horizon and find the lost city once more. The fate of the expedition is in your hands.